Welcome, Marky Marks. It is time for another RAWCAST. Once again, I am Blake Carter, joined by the one, the only, Will Rawson. How you doing, sir?
I am tired. I just got done doing a whole bunch of work that I wasn't expecting to do today. But I'm ready to do a RAWCAST.
Hey, dude, I'm glad to have you around. This week's Raw, well, there was quite a bit to it, though you could really feel the dragginess of the 3 hours, or maybe that was just me. Did it feel like it dragged for you?
Yeah, I think it was just because, they hyped up the big, announcement by Triple H, and it wasn't really that. I wasn't shaken to the core. That's what they were trying to do. It didn't shake me to the core, so I think it was kind of a big letdown. Then that's what started the show. And then after that, it was just 3 hours of like, oh man, I wanted to be shooken to the core, and nothing happened.
Yeah, for me, that really kind of stunk, because I was really hoping to have maybe a bigger announcement. Though what we ended up getting, and we'll talk about it now, is it's going to be now Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns at Fastlane.
Right. I think they're just, obviously they want to appease more fans. A lot of people were very sour that Daniel Bryan, one, he got eliminated early. Two, he also did not win the Royal Rumble. So they're just trying to really appease over, help get Roman Reigns over, thinking that, oh, well, let's see if he can beat Daniel, then maybe he'll have more people believe in him.
Yeah, to maybe give him more trial by fire.
Yeah. But they set it up. It was kind of interesting. They had the Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins. The winner goes on to face Roman Reigns at Fastlane. That was kind of nice. That was obviously the match of the night on Raw. But that was the big announcement, Whoever wins that match gets to face Roman Reigns. Whoever wins that match goes on to main event WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar. That was the big announcement.
Yeah, and it was a big announcement, but at the same time, it kind of lessened winning the Royal Rumble.
Right. I can still in the format of the Royal Rumble now, because the last couple of years, that's 2 times in a row, they've kind of just, screw whatever happens in the Rumble. We're going to kind of change our own rules, so it's not relevant anymore. So maybe after that, they're just going to change the award to the winner every year. Because it didn't used to always be a main event role, it's changed many times, but I don't know.
It has, and then you also had, back in the day, which is not much of back in the day, just the year previous, you also had the Elimination Chamber where the champion could have changed.
Right.
But now we don't have that anymore. We kind of have a different, not as strong pay-per-view, and I think that was another reason they put the Roman stipulation up.
Right.
Beyond that, you have Cena facing Rusev. We're betting, you and I are betting, for the first time, and we'll see it again at Mania. And then you also have Triple H addressing Sting. Who knows if Sting will even be there?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird pay-per-view. That's my dogs. But it's kind of a weird pay-per-view. I don't know why they really took the Elimination Chamber away. I can understand it, but now I'm even less interested in the February pay-per-view.
I am very uninterested in it, and not a strong move on their part to make February completely free, even though it's a shorter month of the WWE Network, with a pay-per-view that not very many people are going to want to see. The NXT one this coming Wednesday, which we're going to be talking about later, is a good thing for that. But what the Raw showed us and what they're getting us ready for Fastlane is nothing that I would want to check out the network for free for.
Yeah. I think the network is awesome, as you said, for NXT. I wouldn't say it's $9.99 worth, but NXT is definitely still WWE's #1 product, in my opinion. have a great show every week. They have great pay-per-views every couple months. It's outperforming Raw and SmackDown by far, in my opinion, but I don't know if it's worth $9.99. Sure it is if it's free, so awesome for them to have an NXT pay-per-view during the free month. But I don't know. They need to fix a few things with their February pay-per-view as far as their main roster goes.
Yeah, and beyond that, since we've been talking about Raw, that was about the only thing worth talking about of a full 3 hours, which was brought up, which brings us to our next topic with the Steve Austin live podcast.
Right. In my opinion, it was okay. I think the Vince McMahon one was a little bit better. But the main thing I got out of this was Triple H is not responsible for anything except NXT. Vince is the guy to blame. Even though he said he's not the only one to blame, but he was making it sound like everything that goes into WWE, he has the final say. He made that very clear.
He does. He does. He made that very clear. I mean, he was very political, but, Steve asked some questions that Triple H was more honest on, and to be honest, I didn't catch it until the second time the second time, instead of watching it, I was driving 3 hours to the nearest metro, if that gives you any idea how far that Will and I live from real civilization. I was listening to the actual audio from Steve Austin's iTunes podcast. There were some things I didn't catch, like Triple H saying, yeah, if it was me, I wouldn't want a third hour. I thought that was interesting. Him addressing CM Punk and basically saying, well, Vince tried things, but it didn't work on the CM Punk thing. So, he was kind of like, I have no problem with him, but Phil was hard to talk to, which even CM Punk has said that he's hard to talk to. So I thought, well, that's a decent thing. But for him to say, well, the Kevin Nash thing, that was kind of Nash's fault, and then it kind of went to Vince, he kind of pushed the blame a little bit. I still respect Triple H, but I think he wanted out of that topic really fast.
Yeah. Then the other big topic, I liked what he said about CM Punk. That was really cool. He was like, man, that guy is tough to talk. That's literally what he said. He is so hard to deal with. He's like, I didn't have a problem with him, so if he says there was, that might just be him. But the other big topic that was probably one of the highlights of that podcast was the issue with China going into the Hall of Fame.
Which is what I have told you from the beginning. WWE doesn't want Google, and he even said Google search to go with porn. I was fist pumping my car saying, I've been saying it for 3 years, they're worried about Google search.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said, hey, does she deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Definitely. She definitely does. But then there's got to be things you think about. And he said, and I have a young child. What's going to happen when he goes into Google and types in China? There's going to be things he doesn't want him seeing on there, and that's pretty much what's holding him from, or the WWE from putting her into the Hall of Fame.
And then he said, there's some that will just say no, but when it comes to China, they are way more worried about the Google search.
Right.
But then you look at stuff like, maybe is that why they don't put X-Pac in? Because he's had so many things, and then he's had a lot of interviews on shoot interviews and shoot DVDs that they don't want him being looked up, or
see, that's what I don't know. And then shortly after that podcast came out, China went on, her Twitter, and she made it very clear that she does want to be in the Hall of Fame. It kind of sucks, and they brought up, I know somebody else was tweeting, okay, so just because she did a couple of adult, films or whatever, she doesn't go in. But we put people in that have been charged with murder and other really horrible crimes, but she does something for adult entertainment and she can't get in. Where you have the likes of Sunny, who went in a couple years ago, who does basically some softcore pornography and She's also kind of a very classy call girl, as she calls it. She just gets personal with her fans. Who knows what that means, but
nobody knows, and she won't define it.
She makes it clear that it's not sexual, but she can't talk about it openly. So who knows what she's doing with her little hotline where she hooks up with her fans.
And it's Skype. It's Skype, ladies and gentlemen. So who knows what happens? I don't know.
But she gets into the Hall of Fame, and China can't.
Scott Hall killed a man.
Right, exactly. Who was it? Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He's been, he was once a suspect for killing his ex-wife. I mean, I think they're still investigating that murder.
You have that. Also, I was trying to think. There's a few others. Abdullah the Butcher has given people HIV through his blood.
There you go. But China, she gets naked on camera, does some sexual things a couple times, and nope, you're never involved with WWE again. We'd just rather have the rapists and the murderers and stuff.
Which brings me to something else that was said. Oh, a good picture of them talking about Punk. But he was saying it's harder for WWE anymore, and it's not getting away from the Attitude Era or anything. It's harder for them anymore because their audience is so broad.
Mm-hmm. Which I can 100% agree with that. He said, yeah, when we were in the Attitude Era, we had our target audience. We had young male audience, aged from like 10 through their late 20s. That was our target audience. Now we have younger kids, the down, 5, 6, 7 years old, all the way up through people in their late 40s, early 50s, both male and female.
Yeah, and he claims that's why NXT is so successful, is because he can have that hardcore demographic of about kind of where the Attitude demographic was, maybe a little bit older, but still that was what he was saying. So this is where I pose the question, if any NXT star goes up there, granted, now they have Vince underneath their thumb, but even if they didn't have Vince, if Vince had died and Triple H took over, would they not be as accepted because they have to be a wider audience than the NXT?
Oh man, I don't know. What's your opinion on that one? I want to hear what you say.
I think it's going to be harder if they're going to have to please a wider demographic, and I think if you define a demographic instead of having a wider one, you're still going to have a wide audience. Just people are going to know what they're going to be watching. Because for me, that's my personal problem with Raw. Because one time it feels like it's aimed at me. Sometimes I feel like it's aimed at people that are older than me. Or sometimes I feel like it's aimed towards a 3-year-old kid. It's not consistent with the wide audience. If you define an audience, you'll still have those people that will watch it. I believe anymore. In the age of where you can watch anything on Netflix or the network or whatever have you, you're still going to have kids that watch Adult Swim. You're still going to have people that watch Tom and Jerry or Teen Titans that could be in their 50s, things like that. I think they're more worried about keeping that wide demographic, and they're trying to be the wrestling Disney.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
And if you were to look at NXT, yes, he feels like, well, the people that are really watching the network, even though they have 1 million subscribers, are the hardcore audience. Why wouldn't you want your main brand to be more of a hardcore audience? They don't have to be the Attitude Era. It doesn't even have to be mature. They don't even have to really bring back blood, because you don't really have a whole lot of cussing. You don't really have a whole lot of blood on NXT. But it's fun to watch because it's more focused on the wrestling and strong but simple stories to relate to.
I agree 100% that they've just kind of gone the more Disney road. They're kind of selling out, wanting to just reach out, make as much money as they can with every age group possible, instead of focusing on just like a core audience.
And maybe that's the stockholders. Maybe that's not just Vince. I don't know. I'm not part of that corporate world. But since we're talking about NXT, maybe we can have a little bit of fun talking about NXT here in a bit. But what would you give the grade for Raw, A through F?
With the Raw, honestly, all we had the Daniel Bryan announcement, good match with him and Seth Rollins. We had the Damian Sandow and Mizdow start to really break up. He fired him as a stunt double. But other than that, it was just, like you said, it's drawn out too long, so I'd probably give that just a C or C minus. It was right around there.
Yeah, they're also the Stardust Gold Dust.
They Stardust walked out on Gold Dust. Forgot about that one.
Yeah. So that's two little tiny matches that could be part of Mania if they decide to go that route or not. We will see. I give it about just a plain C. It was okay. The match with Seth Rollins was fantastic. It was interesting to see them have Roman Reigns lose to Big Show, but I think they're just trying to see, look at all the obstacles he has to face.
Right.
I still have no problem with Roman Reigns. I just feel like he needs more enthusiasm, and honestly, he kind of needs to be like his cousin, the Rock, and embrace the hate. Maybe perhaps be a heel, and then be so liked as a heel, keep that same attitude, and become a face. But that's me personally. But and then the podcast, the rating you'd give for that?
Like I said, I don't think it was as good as the Vince one. There was a couple of good questions on there. I think Triple H was a little more well rehearsed than Vince was, so he was ready to take on some of these questions. I would probably just give that a straight B.
I would too. But talking about his baby, let's talk about Indy's Takeover rival. That's going to be this week. I believe it's this Wednesday. Are you excited for this one, dude?
I am. I actually got the day off from working, so I will get to watch that at home on my network, and I am looking forward to it.
I'm really looking forward to it as well, mostly for the main event, but we'll get there. We'll just break down the individual things right now. We have Blake and Buddy versus the Dragons. Lucha Dragons. Well, what do you think about this one? Who do you got?
A lot of people were surprised because the belt did change hands unexpectedly, to a kind of a newer tag team on the NXT roster. I thought it was interesting. I watched it, and it kind of blew my mind. Like, I did not see that coming. Now we have the big rematch coming up. I honestly think they're gonna retain the belts. I don't know. I have a feeling that the Lucha Dragons are not going to be around as a team too much longer.
Well, we're hearing rumors that they're giving, oh gosh, I forgot his name right now. Sin Cara's partner. Help me out if you can. I've forgotten his name. They're gonna give him the gay barber gimmick, like the Rico gimmick from 2005. I don't know if anybody can pull it off beyond Rico, so I don't know. I have no problem with any kind of gay gimmick. I really don't. But I have a problem when it's just mostly made a joke too much.
Yeah. Well,
that's the only joke they can rely on.
I saw a video. They were talking. It's Callisto.
Thank you.
There's a video talking about him going on to this little homosexual gay hairstylist gimmick where they say, oh, he's not Callisto anymore, he's Callisto. Oh. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't want to see it happen. I'd rather see him just stay where he's at now, just maybe try to do more singles action if they are indeed going away with the Lucha Dragons.
Yeah, I agree, but I do feel like Lucha Dragons have been great, not just for him, but Sin Cara as well. Um,
That's part of the
I
reason
mean,
that I was hearing that they were splitting the Lucha Dragons and Callisto getting a new gimmick is because they're wanting to bring Sin Cara back to the main roster as a mainstay since looks like Rey Mysterio is now done with WWE.
and we did see that at Raw, and we've seen this before with Sin Point One or version 2.0 with changing colors, but they're really into all the different colors with him now ever since Lucha Dragons. This could be very much an action figure type of wrestler, and I don't see a problem with that. So with this match, I see Blake and Buddy holding on to the belts.
Yeah, me too.
Now this next one, the no DQ.
Oh man,
Who do you got? Bull?
I'm going with Corbin. He's from Kansas City. He's kind of like our local guy. Just about 4 hours away, 5 hours.
Yeah.
So I've been a fan of him so far. I think he could be eventually up there with the NXT championship. Those 3 or 4 guys that are always battling for that belt. So I'm going with Corbin.
I think Corbin's probably going to be the one that goes over, though I've enjoyed this tiny feud between the two of them, like, look what I can do, or look what I can do to hurt this guy, back and forth, because it makes Bull less of a jobber and more important. And I know there was concern, even in our group, that with Owens, who used to be Kevin Steen, coming up into NXT, that Bull may not have a place. And this gave him a little bit of a place. When this one's over, he might go back to being a jobber. I don't know, but I've enjoyed this one. There's not much story to it other than I'm a bigger badass than you, but it's been fun to watch.
Right.
Next one is the 4-way versus all wonderful women wrestlers that are actually pretty stinking talented.
And freaking smoking hot.
Yes, very, very, very attractive. Even Triple H says he was more impressed with the women at NXT. I don't know if he realized that he let that slip. But I thought that was very interesting. Who do you got? Do you got Charlotte? You got Bayley? Sasha? Who do you got?
Oh man, I want to hear your prediction on this one first. I've done the first couple. Yours is.
Brother, I don't know. Because for me, I always want Charlotte Flair. But I want her on the main roster, though I don't know if she's ready, nor would I don't know if I'd be interested on what they could give her in the Divas division. Unless you're on the Total Divas, what's your storyline, honestly?
Right. I mean, I'm the same way. I like Flair, but I do want her on the main roster. I think Bayley, I don't think she's ready, but she's freaking cute. Probably she's the cutest one out there, you know?
She like is the cutest one out
there. You just every time you see her, you just go, aww. But I'm a huge fan of Becky Lynch. Right now, I've been jumping on the Becky Lynch train. Don't mean that in any kind of sexual way. But Becky Lynch is the girl. I think if anyone has a chance of taking the title away from her, I'd give it to Becky Lynch.
I'd give it to Sasha.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Sasha. I mean, she's got a good character. She's good in ring. So there's no reason I shouldn't like her. It's just something about her I can't get into it, you know?
Well, see, I think Becky could easily flip-flop back to being a face as long as she doesn't come back to the Irish jig again.
No, I like her character now.
I do too. And Bayley's cute, but I'm not sold on her gimmick. I don't know how far it could go beyond NXT.
You don't like the wacky, inflatable, waving arm balloon guys and...
Wacky inflatable waving arm 2-man. Yeah, no, I think that's fine, but how would that play in the main roster? Because this is a stepping stone to get you up.
I think it would be good for the main roster because look at Emma. She had a very similar, just kind of ditzy, girly thing, and it got over with the crowd, especially the little kids. Bailey's like she's more believable character. She's like the female Cena, I think. Just like, look at my bright colors, look how happy and cool I am, and I think it could get
True.
over for those little kids on the main roster.
True, but Emma is no longer, I mean, barely ever seen, and when we do see her, she's
Yeah.
acting like she's 4 steps slower than anybody. She's painful to watch. She was not
Mhm.
ready to. She was not ready to come up, in my personal opinion. She was fun to watch with Santino. That'd probably been the only person that could have kept her, and then he retired.
Yeah. So, like I
Uh,
said, I think I'm gonna go for Becky Lynch on this one. If the belt does change hands, otherwise Flair's retaining.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, but I want Flair to retain. Uh, because at this point, she's my favorite. She's the only one that I've ever considered buying a women's wrestling shirt for.
Diva shirt.
Yeah, I kind of want that shirt. This is if you're gonna do it with Flair. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome.
I've seen a
Um,
couple of guys wearing them at the shows on TV. So.
yeah, I haven't bought one yet, but okay. Number one contender match.
Yes, they had the big tournament over the last few weeks. Um, Now it's Finn Balor. I I think Finn is going to get it.
You think Finn's gonna get it over Neville?
I think Neville's had too much time up there at the top. I think they want to get more guys up there. So I think Neville's going to help put Finn Balor over a little bit.
And no matter who wins this one, whoever wins the main event, that being either of these guys would be well uh, against either Owens or Zayn. I mean, we've seen Neville and Zayn way too many times. It'd be good to see Baylor against either. And we'll talk about the main event, but I would love to see him against Owens. Will he come out in makeup at a
Oh yeah.
takeover?
Oh, definitely.
You think so?
And oh yeah, I think he'll be doing that at every little NXT special.
Okay, because I mean, when he did it the first time, the last time is because he had to go into a darker place to beat these guys,
Yeah.
and that may become his gimmick, which I'm worried that uh, if when if/when he gets called up to the main roster, they're not going to be able to keep that just for pay-per-view. They're going to want that every single night.
That would be painful.
Oh man, his skin is going to be terrible if that's the case. Um, but this will be a great match between the two of them.
Yeah, and I watched which was the last match that put Finn in. Finn Balor versus Hideo Itami, and that match was pretty damn cool. Just another prime example of why NXT is so great. WWE's #1 product. And now we got their championship finals. Winner goes on to face the NXT champion.
Yeah, and let's talk a minute now on this one. Well, okay, so we have Zayn versus Owens, which let me just say, it is really hard for me to call him Owens, because I see him and I say, this is Steen.
Mm-hmm.
It is really hard for me. Who do you got on this one?
Oh man, right now Triple H loves Kevin Owens. He is like his #1 fan. Of course, it's his show, but he loves Owens. I think he came in a lot more prepared and just over the top than anyone expected. Obviously, I mean, he shows up at their last pay-per-view special, which was back in I think November, late November. I'm not sure, maybe early December. But he came in. That was when he made his big debut. Then, of course, Sami Zayn wins the NXT Championship, and he came out and congratulated him a couple times. Then he finally turns on him, and everybody's like, "Oh my God," which was a great move by the storytelling. And we've had that feud kind of boiling over for the last couple months. Now we finally get the big fight, the championship match. Um, So it's hard to say because Owens is so over right now with everyone, and I think I think Triple H really likes it. I can see him taking the belt away from Sammy. I really can.
I can, but there's two different rules of thought with this. Not just because of things of like. Basically, it comes down to WWE's thinking. Are they trying to do the Hulk Hogan build monsters for Sammy? Or are they trying to show how monstrous, kind of like a Bam Bam Bigelow kind of thing like that, it is for for Owens to win?
I don't know. I see this being a long-term feud. Um, I think Owens gets the better of him in round one. Maybe Sammy in round two. Then we have the final conclusion, third pay-per-view special down the road where I think Sammy might finally get 2 out of the 3.
It could be that. And this is what tells you that WWE, or at least Triple H, pays attention to the indie scene. On his first night there, they make an Owens and Sammy feud. First night. The next pay-per-view or Takeover or whatever, they're already going to let them fight for the title.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, we still got to think about Finn Balor being involved in the mix. Maybe a 3-way for the championship at the next pay-per-view. Who knows?
Yeah. Will if Sammy cashes in his rematch clause, if he was to lose, do we have to wait for the number one contender? Does it get it thrown into a 3-way? There's so many different possibilities. I would like to see Owens get the belt. I really would, especially with the promos.
Yeah, NXT's champions for their NXT championship, they usually have the belt for weeks at a time. They have long reigns. I think it'd be okay to have a shorter reign this time around with Kevin Owens taking the belt.
I do too. I don't think it would hurt Sammy's character as long as he gets some good shots, a good rematch. Maybe he wins it back. I don't know. The only thing I do not want happening is a disqualification.
Right.
There needs to be a champion.
It just needs to be a clean fight, clean finish. Let these guys do what they do best. They've been in matches for years before. They are ready. They know what each other are going to be doing. Don't do any dirty finishes. Don't have anybody come out and get involved. Just let these guys steal the show.
Now, Steen could cheat, and it would be okay with me. I would be okay with that because it's in his character. Because I mean, he came out, last week or whatnot for the signing, and I fight for a prize, and that's the biggest prize, and that means more success. That means more money. Basically, that to me comes down to I want this, and I don't care how I get it. I don't care how bad I hurt you, and I don't care if it's clean. Is what I got from that.
Yeah.
If he cheated, I know we'll have some people, especially in our group, that won't like that. But for me, that would be fine. They've done clean matches before. You can Google that all the time. But I don't know. Maybe Owens wouldn't need to cheat because of his strength. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, if he wants to cheat, I don't know. I just don't want it to be like a really cheap cheat,
Yeah.
Maybe take off the turnbuckle and just kind of do a head smash into it, or even just a simple, we never see these anymore, but a low blow. Just something quick, simple, get the easy pin, take the belt.
And I would be cool with that. Either of those would be great. Though, you don't think Vince has any say at all with NXT, do you?
I honestly don't think he has any say.
Because if he did, do you think he'd want a champion that wears a T-shirt?
Well, I think he'd be okay because some guys like Owens, that's his character, is those ripped off sleeves, he's not pure muscle, he's got a little weight on him, but he's just a big wrecking ball, and he looks good with the shirts. I think Vince would be okay with that.
I don't know. I don't know. He's such a bodybuilder himself, and I have nothing against Owen wearing a T-shirt. I am definitely not ripped at all. I would be wearing a T-shirt, but he is a very muscular guy. I just see Vince having a problem with that with his body builder image. Now, Owens has lost lots of weight after signing with NXT. That's the only thing that really worries me at this point.
Yeah. Like I said, my thoughts on the match, I'd give the championship to Owens and have Sammy cash in his rematch. Maybe Finn Balor gets involved, so it's a three-way at the next one. Who knows?
And I would like that one too. It's going to be an exciting week. We'll see if tomorrow's Raw does anything but build up to Fastlane. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that they put one NXT match on Raw to get people excited about the Wednesday Takeover. That would be a smart thing to do. They don't.
What if Kevin Owens came out and did a promo on Raw? That's what they need, you know?
Oh my gosh.
That place would erupt.
That would be. Though I would be a little worried that there'd be too many smart marks out there going, Steen, 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 and not letting him talk. I mean, I'm fine with the ole, ole, ole when Sammy comes out because they're not shouting El Generico. But I think it's going to be hard. But we'll see. If he can get himself over as Owens, and I think he really can, I think it'll be all right. But I would love to see him out on Raw. Of course, I would love to see Charlotte when she's been out there before on Raw. I loved it. When Adrian was on Raw with Sammy and it was like the tag team match, an NXT tag team match on Raw. Adrian tried really hard to get all his high spots in, and it was a little awkward to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool, but it was flippity, 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 fast, 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 and then it was over. And for me, I'm a slower-paced kind of wrestling fan, so but that's okay. So tomorrow you want an NXT match. You'd want Owens. What else should happen on Raw tomorrow?
What else should happen on Raw? Besides hyping up NXT a little bit, we already got a couple matches set up. I think they need to show where they're going as far as their tag teams. Their tag team division is kind of all over the place right now. So I want to see some better stories kind of getting built up for that. Where are they going to go with this? Are we going to have all of our tag teams separating all of a sudden, or what's happening? Which we got the new one right now of Ryback and Ziggler coming out of nowhere. So who knows if they're going to get involved with a championship run towards those titles as well. But I think they really need to focus on some of their tag team division. And what are we going to do with Seth Rollins?
What are we going to do with Seth Rollins? Also, are we ever going to see Sheamus again?
And Randy Orton? When's he making his big return?
And we're, I believe, less than 60 days from Mania now. Will we see Taker tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, if he's appearing at WrestleMania, which people are still thinking he is, with Bray Wyatt, because Bray Wyatt's been given some promos that kind of hint at some kind of Undertaker feud. Is he going to make his big return tomorrow? Because, you only got about a month and a half. We need to see an Undertaker return very soon if it's going to happen.
And I would be fine if it didn't. If he's not going to go after Brock, I would be fine if he didn't. Because as much as I love Bray, I don't think he's ready for that main event. with Taker. I really don't. I would like, we'll see though. But that sounds pretty good to me, dude. We'll have to see what happens. We will be watching. You can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook, and we'll be talking about Raw tomorrow, and we'll definitely be checking out NXT this week. So, Will, say your goodbyes, my friend.
Goodbyes, everybody. Don't forget NXT this week, Wednesday night. It's going to be worth your $9.99.
There we go. Well, see you later.